Welcome, Rufina.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Can you introduce yourself for those who don't know who you are?
Of course. Hi, guys. My name is Rufina. I am the founder of Reformed Hair. I service clients, work with some amazing celebrities, and I'm also a hair educator.
Incredible. And yeah, like I just have a soft spot for Rufina because I feel like Rufina was one of the first hairstylists I went to. Like when I was like, just figuring out, I want someone to do my hair, and I was doing my hair myself. I was like, I want to just explore. I remember the knotless braids that we did.
Yeah,
they were so cute. And I was like, yeah, this is, she was like so professional. I was like, this is, and I was like, I've been stuck with you for life.
Ever since. I feel so privileged to have been the first person that you came to. Honestly.
Yeah, honestly. So, I mean, guys, you heard it here first. But yeah, Rufina, do you want to talk us through how you got into hair? Like, you've had an amazing career starting out in hair and then obviously branching out into other areas within hair, setting hair extensions, session styling. How did you actually start getting into hair?
So I was one of those kids in the playground that was braiding my friend's hair. Literally, I started so young. And I just done it because I just enjoyed it. And it was just something that I found fun. But then as time went on, I realized that it's actually something that I can make money from. It's something that I have a strong passion for. And so I got my first client, I think I was about 16. And then from there, I was just braiding part-time while I was studying. But as COVID came, I saw it as an opportunity. Sorry, can I just turn that on silent? Because you can't have that vibrating the whole time. Let me put it on airplane mode. Okay.
Yeah, let me actually, should I start from, actually no, you can kind of continue, right? Yeah, okay, carry on,
and then as COVID started, I saw an opportunity for me to start doing hair full time. And then I literally got my own studio, started doing clients. I met the amazing Antoinette. And then from there, it kind of progressed and grew. And I was able to just do such amazing things after that.
Amazing. And how did you, how long after you started doing hair did you get your own studio? Because I feel like that's such a huge jump. There's a lot of stylists that they've started doing hair and they kind of are thinking, how do I grow? So how did you make that jump?
I just done it. I just said, you know what? If I'm going to do this full time, I really want it to be professional.
Yeah.
I don't want people coming to my house. My mum's making egg in the kitchen. Or
not the egg in the kitchen.
carrying their clothes basket.
Yeah.
It was just ghetto. Do you know what I mean? It was just too much. So I was like, do you know what? This is the perfect time for me to get my own space. I found somewhere, it was cheap and cheerful. It wasn't anything expensive, but I was able to just have my clients in a clean environment, a professional environment. And I think it's definitely something that I would recommend to do early if possible, because it makes you stand out from the other hairstylists.
I completely agree, because I think sometimes you think you're saving money, but in the long term, you're not building that level of professionalism.
Exactly.
So you might think I'm saving money, but actually people might actually be less likely to come back to you because they're like, oh, ideally they'd want a space that's separate from someone else's home.
Exactly.
So I think you're right. The earlier, the better.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point. And I guess when we're talking about getting into hair and what motivated you, how did you build the number of income streams you have in your business? Because you said you do hair, but you do other things as well. What was that journey like from okay, I do hair for my clients, I've reached a ceiling, I want to do other things. How did you kind of start that?
Yeah, so I think after a few years, it was probably about 2 years, I would say, I was just doing my clients. And I was like, I can't keep braiding till 4 a.m. in the morning. It was just getting out of hand. So I said, you know what can I do that I don't have to physically be braiding all day, but I can still make a bit of income? So I decided to start selling my French curl braiding hair, which has been great. And it's allowed me to just be able to produce income without physically being in the studio. Without physically being in the studio. And then after that, me and my friend was having a conversation one day and we decided to start educating young girls on how to braid, which has been an amazing thing that we started about 2 years ago now, I think it's been. And from that, I'm able to create income
Extra
as well.
income,
Extra income. What's the other thing again?
And then session styling as well.
And also session styling has been an amazing way to also create income. It's definitely also fun. You can have different experiences, be in different environments, and it just, it's a great
experience. Yeah. I love how it is a journey, right? You started off doing your clients, then you kind of progress. It's almost like you kind of hit a ceiling. You're like, okay, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? For someone who is looking to kind of start to, I guess, go to the next level? Like, you started with a product, then you started teaching, then you started session styling. How would you advise them to kind of decide how to grow, how to expand beyond just doing clients?
Yeah, I think you have to think about what you enjoy, what you're passionate about. I love children. So for me, it was very easy for me to say, okay, let's teach young girls how to braid. And it's something that I enjoy doing. So it was easy for me to kind of think, how can I make that an income? How can I make this into something actual tangible? And then with regards to like session styling, I think I love being creative. So it allowed me to just do that in a way that I'm able to also grow and make money as well.
Yeah.
So I think if it's something that you want to do, if you want to really grow, you have to really sit back and look at the things you're interested in, look at the things you enjoy, and then also look online and see what examples do you have of people that are also doing it, that you can see how they're growing and how they're making income, and kind of see how you can be innovative but also learn from what they're doing too.
Yeah, I love that. Learning from people is like my biggest thing. It's like there's
Yeah.
somebody who's 2 steps ahead of you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the whole point of this podcast, is that like, hey, like, Rufina is a couple of steps ahead of me. How does she get here? How does she do what she needs to do? And as we're talking about biggest achievements, biggest moments, your girl was styling Tems, she was styling celebrities. Like, you've really kind of like stepped up your game in terms of getting into that celebrity world, session styling. I know there's tons of stylists that would love to be in that position. So let's talk about some of your greatest achievements. How did you break that wall? How did you get into it? But also, when you got in there, how did you then continue to grow, right?
Yeah, to be honest, I think it was social media that they found me initially and reached out to me. And I think it was just the quality of work that I was showing online, because I don't have 10 million followers on Instagram, but I think sometimes people just see your quality and they actually think, do you know what, let's book this person. So that was something that they definitely reached out. That was something that they reached out to me from, was Instagram. And then I literally was able to work with her at Glastonbury, which was amazing. And we've done a few other things, which was really a great experience. And what was the second part? How did I?
And once you were in there, how did you then grow, basically?
Okay. Yeah, and so I think being a nice person, I think, is something that people really don't talk about enough. Actually being kind, being polite, being friendly will then make people recommend you. It will also give you a good reputation. So someone like Tems might be like, oh, do you know what? I use this person in London. This is someone that you can now go to as well. And I think it also just gives you a bit more credibility, because then other celebrities will think, oh my gosh, okay, she's worked with this person, let's give her a go. And then, yeah, once you've kind of got your foot in and you're actually genuinely nice and you're professional and you're good at what you do,
yeah,
people will definitely want to book you.
Exactly. And I think, something that you mentioned as well is that there's being good at what you do, being a nice person, but then actually if you're on set, all the people that you're working with, they also do other shoots, right?
Yes, exactly.
So talk to me about how you kind of like spoke to other people and how that went for you as well.
Yeah, I think definitely the networking side of things has been a big thing. So being in those rooms, like you're saying, you're around different people. So I think being friendly and just being able to go up to people and have a conversation and see what they need and see how you can help them in that need. And some people, their experiences that they've never really had good experiences with braiders, or they don't know how to manage their natural hair. There's different things that they want. And so you being able to say, oh, do you know what, actually, I can recommend this, or I know how you can do this, allows them to think, okay, well, she can actually be helpful to me. She can be a necessity for me. So let me see how we can work together.
Yeah, it's almost like positioning yourself as the expert that you are.
Yeah.
If you're positioning yourself to add value, you will always be like overbooked.
Yeah.
Because like I think sometimes people don't understand, like everyone's seeking value, everyone wants to solve a problem. So the more you talk to people, the more you figure out, hey, I can do this. Or they're like, oh, we have a shoot next week, like nobody can make it. You're like, oh, well, actually I can do that. Like the more you speak to people, the more you find out what they need and how you can solve it.
Exactly.
So I love that.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I've just seen you grow, and I can see that the best is yet to come. Like award shows, festivals, like I think once you, as you said, you get your foot in the door, you're a nice person, you do what you need to do and you network, like other doors open for you. It's almost like a domino effect.
Exactly. And I think as well, there's also
times
where you might have to actually work for free.
Yeah.
Like you might have
talk
to just
about it. Let's talk about that.
Because I know no one wants to do that these days. No one really wants
Nobody wants to work for free.
Work for free.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes there is a time where you have to actually just approach people and be like, oh, do you know what? I see the shoot you're working on. How can I be of help? How can I come? How can I assist? I'm happy to not get paid, because that then will just build your portfolio, and also it will allow you to build those relationships with people because you're spending time with them on sets, and it builds your reputation as well.
Yeah. You heard it, not from me, like you've done it. I think that's something that I'm so passionate about, and it's such a touchy subject because I know everyone's time is valuable, but there's so much stuff that I've done for free, like just to be in the room. And I think people need to see the value in it. Everything doesn't have a monetary value attached to it. There's other things that you can gain. So I love that you touched on that. But yeah, what advice would you give for someone that wants to get into session styling? That's like, wow, Rufina, I've seen you work with X, Y, Z. Like, you've obviously given a few things, but if you had to sum it up and just say like one thing you could really do just to make that first step, what would that be?
The first step, I think you should do a photo shoot for your brand. Do like a creative shoot where you're just showcasing different hairstyles that you can do, that people that are in the creative world would actually look at and be like, oh, do you know what? This is someone that I can use for my next photo shoot, my next album, and then you kind of grow from there.
That is the best advice, because it almost like, again, if someone's going to reach out to you, they need to see that like the quality of your work, the creativity of your work is there. Exactly. So even just by doing that on your own, that's an amazing first step. I really like that. And then I guess let's go into like, you know, business, like actually like how difficult it can be sometimes. Did you ever have like a breaking point in your career, in your business, where you're like, I can't do this no more. I'm not doing this every month.
Honestly, I feel like I have them way too often. But I think a big one for me was definitely during COVID, because that time there was so much uncertainty. And I did start full time in COVID, but we didn't know how long lockdowns were going to be. We didn't know the world was going to shut down that way. So I think during that time, I was kind of like, maybe I need to stop doing this hair thing, because clearly the world is closing. We couldn't do services anymore. What am I actually going to do? So I think the pressure was definitely on, but I think that was when I definitely had to think about, okay, what other things can I do to create income if it means that we are locked down for the rest of eternity.
Forever and ever.
You know?
Yeah. And I think it's that pivoting in business is so important. Like as a hairstylist, like, yes, you do services, but I love that you talk about other things, other ways you can make money, because, okay, for example, you can't actually do anything, but you started selling your product, and then you started kind of like thinking about other ways that you could kind of, and you also did a lot of advice online for people, so you were still growing your audience. So I think you really have to be able to have that resilience to be like, okay, the situation right now is not is not good, but how do I react to that, right?
And how do you stay relevant as well? Because in COVID, if I just said, you know what, I'm done, no one would have even known that I was still
doing hair.
So I still had to stay relevant. I still had to find ways to like build content, interact with clients, and definitely.
Yeah, and I think talking about content, you know, I love your content so much, because I think that, you know, in 2025, and not even just in 2025, in the next few years, building a personal brand is one of the most important things you can do in any industry. It doesn't matter if you're a tech consultant or a hairstylist or a painter. Like, you need to present, like, digital currency is the next big thing. The next few millionaires, they're all going to be digital creators, because that's where the world is going, right? So, you know, as from a hairstylist perspective, just talk to us about some of the content creation strategies you have and you maybe like executed, and any advice as well you think would be helpful.
I think for me, definitely doing my own hair has been a huge success for me on social media. Although it's quite tedious because no one wants to sit there braiding their whole head all day, but I think that's definitely something that has brought in clients for me and has definitely helped me to grow on social media, because people have seen what I do, and if they can see me do it on myself, they can trust that I can do it on them.
100%.
So yeah, that's definitely been something.
But that's so interesting because I think nobody would think about that. As a stylist, you always want to get a model, you always want, but like I think actually, well, the first time I saw you do your own knotless braids, I said, wow. And it's like you almost think if she can do it on herself this good, like she must be able to do it on me. And I think also it's just the character, like it's very personable because people can see your face. So I just love that. That's like the way you did that was very different. I hadn't really seen that. But yeah, any other things that you kind of feel like you've done?
That I also think tutorials, so showing the process of the hairstyle has been good on other people as well, so not just yourself, doing it on other people. It's definitely something that gets a lot of views. And lastly, I think a day in the life. I love a day in the life. I love a day in the life. No, honestly. Love a day in the life.
And there's so many ways to make it interesting, right? I've seen a day in the life when you've gone on a shoot, a day in the life when you're like just, you know, serving clients. It's such a nice perspective to have. And it's different.
Yes, exactly. Even going to things like Trestley galas, you know, being able to shoot a day in the life and show what else I do outside of just braiding my clients. It kind of makes you more personable and shows a different side.
It's like I'm a human being. Like I do other stuff. I do your hair, but like, you know. And I think for me, honestly, that really is what a personal brand is. It's showing different elements of yourself. I think sometimes, you know, when you're a hairstylist, you think transformation, show the process, show the end result. But then people get bored. And then, you know, I have loads of hairstylists messaging me saying that I don't have engagement. People don't comment. I'm like, because you're showing the same thing. They want something else. Like, give me something new, girl. So, you know, I love that. And I think your variety really also makes you like approachable to like agencies or celebrities that are looking, because they're like, oh, it's a human being, like there's someone behind there, you know. So I really love that. And then I guess the last thing I wanted to touch on was, do you think there are any cultural tensions at the moment in the black hair industry at all?
Yeah, I definitely think the lack of representation is a big one. You know, although it's great that I've been able to work on sets and in session styling, I think there's still a gap in the market there, and I think there's still a lot of black models that don't have black hairstylists, and I think that can definitely cause a lot of issues for the models, for hairstylists like me, where it's like everyone wants to achieve this thing, but there's no, it's like the bridges,
it's not there.
Yeah, there's a few missing pieces.
The missing links, like, make it make sense.
So I think that's been a huge issue that I've had. I was working with a model one time, and she actually said that she's going to quit modelling because of the fact that her hair's been damaged so much, because people don't know what they're doing with her hair.
That's insane.
So yeah, it's definitely a problem.
That's a big deal. And I mean, this is a big question and not something that we can probably solve, but like, what do you think might be the answer to like that problem? I don't know.
I mean, the only thing I can say is that we just have to help each other. You know, the stylists that are in the rooms should be okay with bringing other people in, instead of it being like, I'm the only person that can be on this set. You know, there's so many artists, there's so many brands, there's so many people that need hairstylists.
There's so many fashion weeks, there's so many editorials.
Literally, there's so many. So there's room for everyone, and I think we all just need to help each other and bring each other into the rooms, really. Yeah,
I agree, because I think there's so many talented like black hairstylists as well, but I also think that like they're very, like, I see this more because I see both industries, right? I see the white hair industry and the black hair industry, and I see that there's definitely like do hair in the black hair industry, like that's what you do. Whereas I think when the white hair industry is very common to do a bit of everything. And so as we help each other do more of everything, like, okay, I see you're good, you have your clients, but why don't you come to the shoot with me? Or why don't you like, you know, why don't we support each other? I think that's what it's about.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Definitely. And I think as well, to touch on just the different styling, the way you said that white people do different things. I think for us black people, we also need to diversify a bit so that they can see that we're actually rounded and can do other things too. Yeah. So then we will be booked not just for the black stylists, but for the white stylists, for the white models too.
Exactly. And so funny, because actually a lot of black stylists I know, they know how to work with white hair, with Caucasian hair, because actually it is a lot easier to work with. So as you said, that well-roundedness can also get you into other rooms. Yeah,
definitely.
Amazing. Well, we have come to the end of this conversation. Rufina, it's been such a pleasure having you. I do have one last question for you. If you could just tell the people One piece of advice you would give to self-employed hairstylists?
One piece of advice I would give to self-employed hairstylists is to never stop learning and never stop growing. We live in such a fast-paced world, a fast-paced environment. So keeping on top of the new hairstyles, the latest techniques will definitely make you stand out from the crowd.
Some fun questions. What are you most excited for next in your career?
Hopefully traveling for work is definitely something that I really...
International.
Taking it worldwide.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to that and just being able to expand and grow as a business.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And finally, a bit of a fun one, but what are some of the hair trends that you love at the moment or that you're looking forward to?
I really love the creative feed-in styles that everyone's doing these days, especially like the braided boldy, the ones that, it's just so cool. And I love the interpretation of flowers in people's hair. I've seen it a lot during...
Well, like braided flowers in the hair? Okay.
I love it. I love seeing it, especially like the Valentine's ones where people put like the roses in their fins. I'm really loving that. And I look forward to creating some of those kind of looks.
Amazing. Well, it's been such a pleasure having you.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me. I can't get